In the United States, I think, as we all know here, but many know it around the world, religious freedom is often called America's first freedom, since it's listed first in our Bill of Rights. The founders wrote, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof." The Establishment Clause and the Free Exercise Clause protect the right of conscience of every American, that inviolable domain of the heart of every human being. And of course, religious freedom is not at all an American right alone. It's one that belongs to every human being on the face of the earth. Yet all around the world today, religious persecution is festering and exploding. What has been unconscionable for decades and centuries has actually gotten worse in many parts of the world. Billions of human beings made in the image and likeness of God live in countries where the God-given right to freely exercise their religion is severely restricted, many to the point of incarceration, torture, and execution. And then on the topic of Nigeria, President Trump's country of particular concern designation in October was necessary, long overdue, and bold. In his first administration, with the strong backing of our ambassador at large, Sam Brownback, President Trump recognized that the mass killings by Boko Haram, ISIS West Africa, and armed Fulani terrorists against Christians in the Middle Belt, which are clearly motivated by ethnic and religious animus, meant Nigeria's met the need for being designated CPC and was so designated. Genocide Watch has called Nigeria a killing field of defenseless Christians. And now, the International Religious Freedom Act, brilliantly written by our former colleague, Frank Wolf, a true champion of religious freedom. And that bill was opposed vigorously. He got it passed into law in 1988, and it has made a major difference globally, including now in Nigeria. We can't take our eyes off of that. I just want to say to my colleagues, to all of us, I'm deeply concerned that Nigeria has hired the K Street lobbying firm, DCI, to the tune of $9 million, $750,000 a month. And Nigerian billionaire, has entered into a $120,000 a month contract with Valcor to influence Congress and the executive branch. And Ambassador, you know as well as I over these many years, because you have fought this fight. They hire these firms, they come up with their very well-written talking points to say, nothing to see here. Whether it be Haiti, China does it better than anyone else, or worse really is what it is. We saw it with Romania. I remember during the years of Nicholas Ceausescu, and I led the effort on that along with Frank and you, Sam, Mr. Ambassador. And they always had these lobbying firms that said, Ceausescu's a good guy. He has all these churches that he has opened. He was torturing Christians. And the book that got me into religious freedom myself was Torture to Christ by Richard Wurmbrand, who talked about the duplicity and unfortunately, how these firms are just so good at advocating for their client. Well, advocate for freedom and end to religious persecution.
We see government institutions doing the wrong thing and telling people to go to court. And there is this saying that in East Africa, I don't know, somewhere, maybe Patrick Lumumba will confirm that there is an East African saying that if a thief tell you to go to court, he knows that his brother is the judge.
And it is very clear, my Lord, and I will read into the record of this very court, subject as otherwise provided, I'm now reading 36 Sub 12, subject as otherwise provided by this Constitution, a person shall not be convicted of a criminal offense unless that offense is defined and the penalty therefore is prescribed in a written law. My Lord, I implore this very court most respectfully, my Lord, to show me the extant written law upon which I am being asked to enter into defense and upon which I am being detained, because there is none.
Celebration in the southeastern part of Nigeria because Jonathan now is angry and he has attacked Asorok, attacked Tinubu as regards the happy sentence that the Nigerian government are planning to execute with Nnamdi Kanu. And Jonathan now is telling the world powers enough of this madness currently happening in Nigeria judiciary. What's your take as regards this?
I think Jonathan too was a victim of the judicial process. We saw it very clearly. What actually happened during his days, how the judiciary was actually manipulated against his political interests at the end. But what surprises many is that even though Jonathan has been crying loud on how they use judiciary to victimize his political career, but surprisingly, just few days ago, when the federal government actually admitted that the process that Omotosho embarked on was not what the law actually says. Then, if it is not what the law actually says now, then why didn't they come out since to say it? But I'm sensing a very serious issue here. As you listen to Jonathan on this platform speaking about the rot in the Nigerian judiciary, it goes a long way to tell you that Nnamdi Kanu was actually very sure of what he was talking about then, that James Omotosho, a high court judge or one of the judges, does not know the law. And he said it very clearly, show me the law. You do not know law. And for this reason, he said, my God will punish you. It's like things have turned around now. And for Jonathan to, engage Bola Ahmed Tinubu now, attack him directly, that the manipulation of the judiciary against the Biafran people, Nnamdi Kanu, that enough is enough. And to an extent, he has that statement alone has attracted another dimension internationally, where we are seeing references have been made over Nnamdi Kanu. But the fear in Asurok now is currently that why are federal government now, maybe out of fear, anxiety, and tension, that the United States government might definitely want to use force to bend Nigeria to do the needful to release Nnamdi Kanu, because they have already passed that as a bill or a resolution. Let me just remove the word bill, a resolution in the Congress currently now. And like I said, the congressman that actually moved that motion was James John, so, and they mandated the Secretary of State, Rubio, and to engage Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and that is why, because of the fear of they're not see, it was a clear-cut manipulation, very clearly. Now they are saying that the judgment was edited. Omotosho should come out. Who is going to defend Omotosho now? Is it Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Definitely, Omotosho is definitely going to be on his own, and Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to be on his own, and everybody will answer query over Nnamdi Kanu. Now we are seeing now that they want to cross appeal Nnamdi Kanu's case. What that actually means is that and they want a situation where all those areas Nnamdi Kanu highlighted that contravene his human rights, that contravene the United Nations Arbitrary Committee on Human Rights, demanding the immediate Nnamdi Kanu's release, that contravene the international law of human rights on extradition, was not adhered to. So now federal government has looked at that area now. I had discovered that it has actually exposed what actually went on. Like most of us who are always on this platform, making it very clearly, we know very clearly that that judgment was suspicious, that judgment was tailored, that judgment was manipulated, that judgment was ordered. Omotosho is a disgrace now, and he's going to face the consequences of it. Yes, Dr. Masanga has already written to European community, to International Organization of World Countries. Nnamdi Kanu is pulling massive heavy weight now on Nigeria. It's like the table has turned. Bola Ahmed Tinubu is seeking to how he is going to escape that being labeled as the president of Nigeria who went against the rules of law, both internationally and locally. And the implication is that Nigeria is bound to lose every access they have anywhere in the world, especially in UK, and it will be confiscated and used as a collateral to compensate Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Nigeria is lost. Nigeria is gone. Then they think that thank God that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu did not actually, give up, irrespective of the series of attacks. The federal government are trying to buy up some elements of IPOB in that regard, and you can see the kind of things they are doing at this point in time. And to an extent, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has set up a structure of Biafra recognition committee. That's what the 100 men is meant for. For those who do not know, but kudos to that ideology, that idea, that concept, and to control, to drive the recognition of the sovereign nation of Biafra. But if you look at what Jonathan was actually talking about, what does Jonathan actually mean? How come Jonathan suddenly wake up from this, regain his consciousness, and begin to question what actually happened to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? What actually happened? After all, there is need. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is within, and the law that binds the international bodies like United Nations, ECOWAS, Nigeria, and the rest, that says that self-determination is not a crime. Then how come that he was picked from Kenya, and even though the Kenya government has condemned it, the international community have condemned it, how come that Nigeria went as far as, carrying out that Sharia against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? Then at the end of the day, they moved. Bola Tinubu was there, they connived, and they moved him to Sokoto prison. Now, the international community, the world leader, the world powers now are beginning to ask questions. And Bola Tinubu definitely is going to deny James Omotosho. He's going to tell the whole world. Bola Tinubu is going to confess to the whole world.
Would that be good enough?
Involved. It's Omotosho that did this thing, and that's what is playing out now. I'm hearing the serious crisis. Omotosho is already running to Aso Rock, and Bola Tinubu is nowhere to be found, and he has knocked on the door. The doors are not even opening. Bola Tinubu does not want to hear him. Now he's telling Omotosho, "You are on your own."
Omotosho made a very big mistake with this move.
Now the question is that, is the Nigerian judiciary independent? The Nigerian judiciary is not independent. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has exposed a lot of things now, and that is where Jonathan now is capitalizing on. I begin to question, is Nigerian judiciary actually independent? If the Nigerian judiciary is independent, then what happened to the issue of definite agitation? What happened to Samuel Eba? What happened to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? Those are the questions the Aso Rock has never answered up to this moment, and nobody, including Bayo Ononuga, has not been able to respond to Jonathan's question on the credibility and independence of the Nigerian judiciary. And that question has triggered a lot of things, because they thought that maybe Jonathan would not have responded to that from that angle. But they never believed that this Jonathan you are talking about today was also a victim of the Nigerian judiciary.
But one thing Jonathan is angry about is saying Nigerian passport is no longer recognizable or respected among nations. He said because of the corruption in Nigeria, that Nigeria now, the judiciary we need to stand up and start to be independent. But do you not think why Jonathan is angry as regards with Tinubu is, during this time we saw Tinubu protesting, as against his government. Do you not think this is one of the reasons why Jonathan might even also be upset with Tinubu-led government as regards Tinubu protesting, going to, Obama back then to report Jonathan's government? Do you not think this is like a payback time for Tinubu? For Jonathan?
I think that Jonathan is not taking it from that angle, that is actually a payback time, for all the atrocities committed against him when he was president of Nigeria by the APC, Buhari, Tinubu also, that they were all, involved, but the Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's resilient spirit, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu resilient and focused on the struggle, has begun to, germinate. I begin to be fruitful. I begin to gain global attention. Imagine a country like Brazil. Imagine a country like Austria, celebrating 30th May, Biafra Day, all over the world. Imagine those countries talking about the independence of Biafra, talking about the Biafra support. The parliament are passing resolutions on daily basis about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, about the coming of Biafra. But you see, so those of them now who we are on that the same we are victims of Nigeria, that Nigeria actually happened, and with what is going on currently in Nigeria, where there is so much against the people who cannot be able to access the rule of law. Look at the issue of the governor of Rivers State, Isibe Fubara. He was also a victim of the same James Omotosho. So I think Ikoyi Ejune, his cup don't full, and it is time for him to face the consequences of what he actually did. Whether he acted as a proxy, whether he acted for a certain interest, whether he acted based on what we are suspecting it looks like, which is using the machineries of the government, using the institutions of the government, and to continue to advocate Islamization, conquest, and all the rest of them. So that was on the angle that it was believed that a dead law cannot be used to pass a judgment that has to do with an international dimension. But a lot of people say Nnamdi Kanu was not supposed to be tried in the first place, But because Nigeria has made up their mind that either ways they must just, whichever way, they must prosecute. They must persecute. They must carry out this judgment to make sure. But they didn't see it coming that the international community we are actually watching, and when they are fully committed and was able to be, they were able to push themselves to a certain corner that they are properly now trapped. They cannot escape it, and that is why you see there is serious panic within the Judicial Council. The NBA is in crisis. The Aso Rock is battling. What is going to be the next thing? Can this say? How can this say? So it means that these guys are going to face ICC and definitely going to face life imprisonment themselves. Anybody that is trying to bring about to manipulate the process, whether the federal government is cross-appealing Nnamdi Kanu case or not, or trying to introduce any pattern to that regard that will lead to sentencing of Nnamdi Kanu to death, you can see that every other plan within that has been sent to the trash. I can tell you, because if the federal government themselves can come out now and said that James Omotosho actually committed error. Now it's time for James Omotosho himself to tell the whole world that I was not the one that committed the error, that it was this man that actually put pressure on me. It was this federal government, it was the government of Nigeria that actually did it.
Do you think he will be bold enough to say this?
By the time he faced life imprisonment and death imprisonment, he will be able to confess those who were behind him. It's a very simple thing. Then he will be able to tell the whole world where he was able to invoke the law that was used against Nnamdi Kanu, to pronounce that kind of judgment. You can see him making mockery, but the person he was talking to did not, turn around to look at whoever he is. But now you can see that the truth has beginning to come out, and that is one thing you must understand. One day, either by omission or commission, Biafrans will wake up one day and find themselves that they are now in a sovereign nation called Biafra, and that is what the world is trying to prepare. You might not know the magic, what the American government want to do, or what the world leaders want to do at this moment. All these things you are seeing happening, they are pressure, they are making statements here and there. They are letting the whole world know that by the time they take decision to recognize Biafra, no nation on earth will do thing. You see, Brazil has come in, Austria has come in, Italy has come in. These powerful nations are coming gradually because IPOB is not being seen as a terrorist organization. And that was what the Dr. Basanga was actually warning. That was what Arnold was always saying, But unfortunately, Nigerian government feel that nobody has right to, intervene or to do anything. I was saying that it has gotten to a point that a superior force, a superior power, will decide the fate of Nigeria and Nnamdi Kanu and Biafra any moment from now.
Thank you very much.